Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting tonight. Today is Tuesday, August 12th, and the time is 7 p.m. I will ask the clerk, Joanne Marcon, to call the roll.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Jim Benash,
Here.
Kathy Loendorf. Here. Stephen Knott,
Here.
Mike Milkey,
Here.
Larry Jurassic,
Here.
Diane Wolf. Here.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Item 3, the rules of the City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. The City Council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, obscene remarks, or threats of violence. Sufficient warnings may be given by the sergeant at arms or the chair at any time during the remarks. And in the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum as set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Item 4 is public input. At this time, any member of the public may give input to the Common Council. If you choose to do so, please begin by stating your name and your address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the Common Council this evening? Hello.
My name is Ron Jertson, 1222 County Road, PH. I'd started out with, I talked to a number of homeowners through the city of Onalaska the last couple of weeks. That it was a definite no to the wheel tax at 100%. The people that are somewhat familiar with the way we run this government down here were concerned that it didn't go to a referendum. Also, I had the concern, and I'd heard it with people that are familiar with the way the government does work, is that we have a $300,000 plus shortfall projected for next year's budget concerning streets. These dollars could be managed in this year's budget. It's there. I don't even need to look at it. I'll have to take 1 minute at a time, and I know very easily I could come up with that. Some curiosities in discussion were how this went through the consent agenda to start with no public input, committees not doing the things that they can do and let the public involved. One of the things, and this has been around for a while, we've had a very large surplus, very large. From my understanding, it's 9 million. Could be considered overtaxation. I think governments work well with money put away on things like this. You need to look at what the taxpayer is thinking. They're thinking these dollar bills are there for them. Should be considered. I kind of lean more toward the budget. We can do it in the budget. I'll just use my neighborhood as an example. Last year, we resurfaced Midwest Drive. Been around a long time, done this city, village stuff. It didn't need to be done. Why was it done? I'm not involved. I could go ask the questions, but the total resurface with the Soviet style roundabouts that were put in on PH and Theater Road, those are dollar bills that just went. They're gone. You did it. Same with Midwest Drive. The taxpayers are concerned when their view is it didn't need to be done. You could argue with one way or the other with the roundabouts, how they work. And a definite no on any more taxes, straight across the board. Fire was brought up several times. No more. We're big enough. I'll look at strictly at 1222 regarding homeowners insurance. Our insurance is happy with the police and fire. They do a good job. I'm glad to have them. Property tax assessment.
3 minutes.
I'll be short.
Yeah,
The property tax assessment
there.
it's got people concerned straight across the board. The youth trying to buy, the youth that has bought, the people that have paid them off, and the ability to maintain it. Those numbers are real and they're encroaching. I'm not going to speak on my behalf. I'm not. I'm going to leave that completely out.
Okay, thank
The
you.
long-term health of the city relies on affordability. We have to think about that. I thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the Common Council this evening? Second call for anyone who would like to, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were doing.
I can walk today, so that's why I decided to take the, oh, no, you're good. Diana Wolf, 910 Orchid Place on Alaska, and second district alderperson. I just wanted to speak very briefly on, I've of late been doing a lot of driving on Theater Road. And plus, who can resist the new roundabout, quite frankly? I like to remind everyone briefly that it was 50-50 funding for the roundabout on Theater Road and PH. I know in the last year or so, council did have some concerns about was it going to be sufficient? And there were a number of us that had some concerns, and, engineering assured us that, others had drawn it. That was the best they could do. And it just seems to work. And I have yet to hear anyone complain about it, at least in my district. If they weren't going to like it, they don't like any of the roundabouts, but they really have liked that. And the work that's been done on Theater Road, every time I go on it now, it's wonderful. And I think people just don't realize a lot of times you just get used to your roads, but then once something's fixed, it's just really nice. I still hear compliments for East Avenue and also Green Coulee. So I'm just very appreciative that this council and previous councils have made our budgets, and especially our capital improvements. I think I said maybe at a recent meeting that our budget really reflects the values of the city of Onalaska. And I know with our new list of Board of Public Works and public capital improvement projects, the list is long, and we're going to, again, have to cut a lot of really good projects because I don't think there's a single project on there that is not worthy. But I do look forward to working with this council going forward and trying to make the best decision. So thank you. And thank you to staff and all those who work so hard and to really make the process of the whole construction season go off pretty much without a hitch. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Would anyone else like to address the Common Council this evening? Is there any further public input this evening? Third and final call for public input this evening. Public input is now closed, and we'll continue with recommendations for approval under possible action on the following committees, commissions, boards, and officials. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of business on the non-consent agenda. Are there any items the members would like removed from the consent agenda? Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to remove item 5E under finance.
Thank you. Are there any other items the counselors would like removed from the consent agenda? And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Stephen Knott. It's been seconded by Alder Diane Wolf to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Sorry about that. Okay, now we are on the non-consent agenda. Item 6 is a recap of the items pulled from the consent agenda. There was one, it was item 5E from the Finance Committee. We will start there. We'll turn it over to our Finance Chair, Mike Milkey, to bring this item to our attention.
Thank you, Mayor. This is under item 5E. This was the approval of funding not to exceed $10,000 for MCS Networks, Inc. to complete an inventory of city IT devices. And when we handed this over last week, we talked with City Administrator Rick Niemeyer. So I'll pass it over to you.
I can get started with it and then I'll turn it over to our IT director. So as we had discussed previously, and I know there's a memo that's in the packet as well too. I had a conversation with our IT director, Joe Ollinger, in regards to this request. So we have a list of items of inventory for the city. We do not have it completed. And Joe has been attempting to try and get the inventory completed since he's been here. But due to other commitments that he has around the city, other work that he has to do, getting this up to where it needs to be has been a challenge. As indicated in the memo, one of the first things, if there is some kind of a cybersecurity incident, we need to know what our items are, where they're located, who has them, all those kinds of things. So he had reached out to MCS in regards to this particular item and received a quote from them. And I'll turn it over to Joe so he can add any additional items that he would like to talk about on this.
Before we
Yeah.
do that, let's get a motion on the floor.
Yep. Sorry, this was recommended for approval at the ANF meeting last week, Wednesday, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Mike Milky. It's been seconded by Larry Jurassic to approve. Now under discussion. Joe?
Yeah, so basically Rick did a pretty good job summing up everything. I will say that in the event of a cybersecurity attack, the first thing they're going to want is a list of our inventory. And when I first came on board, Jared had talked about how they had done the inventory in the past, and they, would do for a month, they'd be able to work on some stuff, and then it would take 2 months. Well, you'll never get it done doing it like that. It needs to just happen. And unfortunately, with all the other projects we have going on, I haven't been able to just have that happen. It's probably going to take around 2 weeks with 2 people from MCS and then 1 person from the city going around just to get to all of the different devices we have. Believe it or not, we have a lot more than you think. So. And this is the first, if we're talking cybersecurity, it's like the first cybersecurity control, and it's been bugging me since I started, and this is the most efficient way to get this done.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Rick Niemeyer?
I just wanted to add as well, once we get the inventory in place, Joe does have a mechanism in place to maintain the inventory thereafter. And so this should be a one-time expense and
Correct.
be able to maintain it thereafter.
Yep. So after this is done, then between myself and Hannah, our new planning
Associate.
specialist. Yeah, that works. Our new planning specialist, between her and I, we will continue to keep it up to date. We just have to get it to that point first.
Okay, thank you. Alder Knott?
Yeah, just anyone who does have questions or that they'd like answered, I'd ask to keep them general because we are talking about security.
Correct.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. I pulled this evening for 2 reasons, and one is just a little piddly one. And I apologize, I didn't get a chance to reach out to Amanda. I attended the A&F Administrative and Finance Committee meeting last Wednesday via Zoom. And maybe I missed it towards the end, were you going to, there was talk about maybe doing a resolution. So I didn't know, because I know you didn't think that, I thought I heard that you didn't think you needed to do $1,000 for the resolution on item F, but I thought you or someone talked about possibly doing a resolution.
Yeah, I think Sabrina did want to do a resolution for this one because with $1,000, she can likely find that, there will likely be a potential that Joe's budget can absorb that at the end of the year, but with 10,000, we would do a resolution next month. So kind of like we've done in the past with Badger Books, you'll approve the expense at this meeting and then we would bring forth a resolution next month.
That's right.
Sabrina, did you want to comment on that?
Nope, Amanda covered it.
Yeah.
That's exactly was my plan, was that it's just such a quick turnaround to bring the resolution forward to council. So I would bring it to committee next month.
And now that you say that, and my apologies, I do remember there's been on a rare occasion where something like that, but no, thank you for that. I also want to thank the Finance Committee for approving this. I sat down with Joe within the last couple of weeks. We talked briefly about it. I can honestly tell you, when I first started here in 2003 and I was on the Technology Advisory Committee for the City of Onalaska, we always talked about inventory ad nauseum. So this is not the sexiest thing that's going to be on the agenda, what we do around here, but it's probably one of the very most important. So I appreciate you having your antenna raised and looking to get this accomplished. I know it's not going to be a whole lot of fun, but I know that, and you know that, how very important it is. So thank you for your attention to this. So I will wholeheartedly be supporting that this evening. So
Okay, Miss Past Technology Team Member.
warmer.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve. Thank you, Joe, for that input. The motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll continue with item 7, the Finance Committee. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a list of the following monies expended since the last common council meeting on July 8th, 2025. That total amount being $2,972,162.89. And I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mike Milky. It's been seconded by Larry Jurassic. Is there any discussion? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of the motion to approve the vouchers, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to the Public Transit Committee. The newly elected vice chair was
Hey.
Stephen Knott.
Okay, so, this was just brought up today in front of the Public Transit Committee. I'm gonna go ahead and move to approve.
Second.
You
Okay, under discussion, yeah, motion to approve, discussion, back to you, Stephen Knott.
Yeah. So what this was they had a triennial review that Sabrina had to go through. And this was one of the findings, if not the only finding, maybe even, I don't know, but that came out of this was that the committee is supposed to have an annual discussion / review / approval of a public transportation agency safety plan. We do have one, but we hadn't been doing that inside of the committee annually. She did make some very minor happy glad changes here and there, nothing major. And the committee did approve that just earlier this evening.
Okay, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding this item? Did Sabrina want to comment?
If I could just add, thank you, Stephen, for bringing forward the plan. If it is approved by the committee, we get signatures tonight, so I might keep the Public Transit Committee members to sign it. Then I can submit it with the meeting minutes to the FTA, and then they will clear this finding as well. So then we will have a perfect audit,
Yay.
which is good news. So thank you for that. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 9 is a report from our city administrator, Rick Niemeyer, and you do have a handout.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor. I'll just go through this briefly again. I don't read it to you because you can read it on your own, but I just want to hit on some highlights. As you are aware, departments submitted their operating budgets recently. They are currently being entered into the system and will be under review here shortly. And then we will get them ready for you at the October council meeting where you'll get the budgets. We talked already about the triennial review, just talked about the plan that was approved. Again, just every 3 years, the federal government conducts this review. I just want to take a moment to thank Sabrina for all of her hard work in conducting or getting everything ready for this review. It takes a lot of hard work in order to get it together. And she spent about a day and a half being grilled by them in a room. I made sure that she was safe though at all times. But no, it went well. So I thank her for all the hard work that she's done. I recently had the opportunity to do a fire department ride-along, and that was a couple weeks ago. I always enjoy doing those types of things because I get to see the things that people do on a day in and day out basis, and it's always very informative. And so I enjoy that, and I thank the police or the fire department for letting me tag along. I'm going to be doing with the police department again later this month as well too. So recently, the mayor and I had the opportunity to test drive our new EV vehicles at the racetrack in West Salem. A lot of fun, not going to lie. They drive differently than a gas-powered vehicle does. We got to go through some of the obstacle courses and do some of the maneuvers. I can tell you I will never probably drive like a police officer has to. Gives me a new appreciation for the things that they have to do while they're out there. But the vehicles are pretty cool. So I enjoyed it. And Mayor, if you
Let me quick add that when both Rick and I separately, we did it at separate times, but each of us, when we were done, then the chief took us for a real ride after.
we braced ourselves. But he did what he needed to do.
Safely.
So yeah, so thank you for that as well. As you all are aware, I believe, the All Abilities Playground that is being constructed, that will be constructed in Community Park. We did have a donor step forward to do a matching program of up to $100,000. So that is going on now through September 1st. And so we're off to a good start with that. So that's exciting. The mayor and I did recently meet with Vicki Markison. She is the new executive director from LAGCO. So we had a chance to sit down with her and just have a conversation with her and then she gathered some information from us in regards to the things that we wanted to see going forward. As you know, we also had our Girls Solar Power Hour here on July 15th. It was a very small turnout, but those who did turn out, there were some good conversations between the individuals who were here to give their presentation. So that was good. And then the Onalaska Community Night at the Loggers, I thought was a very great success. We had employees, we had a section for the employees. Aldernott threw out one of the first pitches.
That was a strike, by the way.
It was, no question about it. So, and then some of the other community members also performed different things throughout the evening. So overall, it was a great night. So thank you to everybody who participated, helped get this organized. I'm hoping we can do this again each year. So, and then the meetings and events.
There was a walk-off grand slam that night.
There was, good point too. Yes, unfortunately, we had already left by then, so we missed it. But yes, it was a great game.
You can just go ahead and continue, sure.
Well, I didn't know if you were done. If you're
Okay.
until you're finished.
Well, I'm done with my report, but we're going to move on to the next item unless you have
Yeah,
something.
I just,
Now we're on item B.
can we have any discussion on this at all?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Aldernott, go
Just have
ahead.
a quick question. It's referenced the fundraising drive for the All Abilities Playground. How are we going about trying to maximize this, try to get other individuals or corporations to do up to $100,000?
So we did send letters out to previous donors to both the community center as well as to the All Abilities Playground, and just letting them know about the match program that is going on. We didn't do anything on social media, if I remember correctly.
We will be doing social media this week. We did also reach out to a handful of businesses that didn't make an initial donation. The Lions Club is also reaching out to contacts and businesses that they feel this might appeal to. We have, I think since the match was offered, we've taken in about 15,000 in donations.
Okay.
So we're at about 30, but that's still, quite a ways to go.
There also are a couple of grant applications, I think, that are out there. So we're waiting to hear on those as well too. So just a number of different areas that we're taking a look at. So.
Okay.
And we're open to suggestions.
Yep.
Bake sale.
Alder Jurassic.
Is that a drop dead date? I mean,
September 1st.
possibility of extending it past the first?
That would be up to the individual who is matching, whether they want to extend it. Right now, that is the date that we have set.
We're also hoping to install the playground on September 15th. And so we really are kind of down to the wire. And so the last 200,000 is needed for the installation cost and the pour in place, which is what is the solid surface that goes around it that makes it safe for wheelchairs and for kiddos. So those are really the last two things that we need to be able to pay for. And so we're really hoping we get there.
So the apparatus and everything's been ordered and.
Correct. We have the apparatus, we have the equipment. We really just need to fundraise for those last two things.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We're really close. We just need a few donors. It's going to be,
If you know anybody, send them our way. Item 9B is Resolution 17-2025, a preliminary resolution to vacate and discontinue Johns Court located in the city of Onalaska, La Crosse County, Wisconsin. I think I'll turn this one over to Amanda.
Move to approve first?
Move to approve.
Second.
okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 17-2025. The motion was made by Stephen Knott and seconded by Mike Milky. Amanda?
Yeah, this is a standard vacation. We do these frequently. So basically, right now, this, at some point was intended to be a roadway. It's not being used as a roadway. The Dietrichs are asking that it be discontinued, and then the land being given back to the property owners. Typically, it's divided equally between two property owners, based on how it's platted. And so this is just kind of step one in that process.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments from the counselors? Jim?
Resolution 17-2025, fifth one down, Liz Pendens, Lispendens. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Yep. So we file a Liz pendants with the Register of Deeds just to basically tack on to these two properties that this vacation is in the process of happening. So while very unlikely, in the interest that someone would decide to buy the property while this is going on, they would receive notification that this vacation is in the process and that it impacts these properties.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was an excellent question. Any other questions that are excellent, like Jim Benash's was? Okay. All right. The motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
I'll go into 9C, which is the Dash Park Expansion Purchase Agreement. As you recall, this was a previous item on an agenda to have some discussion about the expansion of Dash Park. As you have also probably noticed, there has been construction that is occurring down there as well. But part of the discussion was at the time that the improvements are completed about the transfer of the expansion area to the city to be incorporated as Dash Park. So this was the agreement that was presented to the individuals who are currently making the improvements, and they have signed it. They did not request any additional changes to the agreement. So it is the same agreement that you looked at the last time it was in front of you. And so looking tonight for approval. Amanda, if you want to add anything to it?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Stephen Knott, seconded by Kathy Lohendorf to approve the agreement as presented. Amanda, did you have any comments?
No, just as Rick said, I was actually surprised they signed the agreement very quickly and returned it to us with no changes necessary. As we discussed last month, I would just really emphasize that I know $300,000 may seem like a lot, but we really are they are privately improving this park upwards of 2.2 to 2.5 million. And so 300,000 for what we're receiving is really, I think, a good deal for the city.
Thank you for that. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Alder Nash?
Yes, on number 2C on page 39, the last sentence says such conditions shall not be so restrictive that the city may not alter or modify the capital improvements or equipment over time. I question the over time. It doesn't really define what over time means.
Basically, once the park is ours, if we want to alter and modify the capital improvements or the equipment that's installed, we have the right to do so.
So if we were to just say, for example, improvements upon completion of transfer of property, I'm just kind of concerned about where we say over time. It doesn't really define 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. Can we make any changes or additions as soon as the property changes hands? So
Yes.
that's kind of what
We can.
okay. So
The idea is, right, stuff wears out, stuff breaks over time. And so we have no obligation to keep the park as we're purchasing it, essentially, is what that means.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Alder Milky.
Just have a quick question for maybe some clarification. Things that have come up when I've been talking to people in the community on this is it's always around this $300,000. And the way I've been explaining it is essentially this is a park fund that can't be used to improve a current park. Right. So I'm just looking just for some more clarification, just a rundown of exactly that legalese.
Yep.
So I can repeat that back and probably a little bit better.
We collect green fees in lieu of land dedication. So when a new subdivision comes in, when a new big commercial residential project comes in, we collect fees and they go in two pots of money and they go actually by a percentage. And I'm going to maybe get these wrong, maybe get these right. 4753. And they get divided between land acquisition and park development funds. And so we can use it to buy new park land, which would be what this would be, or we can use it to buy new park improvements, which arguably is also what this could be. And so if it is a park improvement, we cannot use it to replace equipment. So you can't, this is a frustration we talk about often, is we can't go in and say, hey, this playground needs new equipment, we're going to replace it with park improvement funds. We can't do that. It has to be something new, or it has to be, a new feature. It has to be, for instance, if we, had a park and we wanted to add a pickleball court and one did not exist, that would be a new park improvement that those funds could be used for. We also have to be careful because we have neighborhood parks and we have community parks. And so we have more broader authority to spend the money on community parks, which Dash Park is considered a community park, meaning it appeals to more than just the neighborhood. And so if we can't spend the money in the neighborhood that it was developed, that the money came from the development, then we look at it using it towards a community park, if that makes sense. But we also have a use it or lose it. We only have so many years to spend that money, or we have to by law give it back to the developers that paid it in. And so this is a really good way for us to kind of take down that account a little bit and use some of that money that we have.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for that, Amanda. We'll go to Alder Jurassic and then Alder Wolf after that.
Yeah, finishing off that last statement, how much is in the fund and how soon will we lose any?
I mean, it's a regenerative fund, right? So, I mean, every big commercial residential project, we're constantly getting maybe not a lot of money, but money back into the fund. Dan, probably, do you have?
I think it'd be more appropriate, like during Public Works, when we're talking about the capital budget, we can draw on this conversation more for
Yeah.
funds that are available, and it would probably be more appropriate there.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is funds that we're gonna lose. That's the only.
I mean, we will make sure we don't lose funds. I mean, that's why we bring projects forward and when we can, we spend that money as we're able. So we have not, at least to my knowledge, ever had to give back money.
Yeah, but we can connect that at Public Works when we're talking about the capital improvement and the funding of those projects, rather than here when we're talking about something totally different, which is a purchase agreement. Okay, Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's 7 years.
7 or 8, it's
Yeah.
around there.
Hate to lose any money that we pretty much have earned, I thought Alder Benash, when he said 2C, I thought you were going to talk about my question, but you didn't. So I guess I'll have to ask it myself. It talks about C, maintenance as a park on page 39. The city will maintain the property as a park, including maintaining the capital improvements, installation of a security system, and all miscellaneous park improvements, ... So we foresee a security system in our future public or capital improvements list, I would assume then. Okay. I'm trying to be very careful. what to
Dan was
say
trying not
about
to
it.
come up.
Absolutely.
Keep it general.
We get a grant every year from CIVMIC, which is a 50-50 grant. So our plan is to utilize each year, each department gets it between Public Works, Fire, Police, and Park and Rec. We're up to do this. And so we are working with a contractor that we would install a camera system as part of this installation once we take ownership of it as part of it.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you.
is-
Thank you,
that is
Dan.
our
Well, I know when I don't think they were called Onalaska, no, they weren't called Onalaska Art Keepers, I don't think at the time, but when the
Sculpture.
thank you. I knew it wasn't statue, but it was an S word. When the sculpture was put up sometime since 2018, I just don't remember what year. I remember I felt strongly and council supported my motion that that they were not able to install it until we had installed security system, because when I think it was like about $180,000. My number one concern was if anyone came in and caused any property damage to that, there'd be a lot of, I would think there'd be a lot of angry people and citizens who contributed towards that, you know, and we didn't have anything. So, so I'll just leave it there, but I would just assume that we would be protecting that investment, but I look forward to us getting it. About a year and a half now, or no later than December 31st is what I read. So 26. So thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the agreement, purchase agreement. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for that. Back to you, Rick.
Excuse me. Next one is the Onalaska Professional Police Association, the OPPA contract. Do you want to do the motion before I go into detail, or you need to introduce it first?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Stephen Knott. It's been seconded by Larry Jurassic to approve the OPPA contract. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you. And I'm just going to give some opening comments or general comments, and then I know Amy has some information to provide. I'm sure Amanda probably does as well. So tonight is kind of the culmination of the negotiations that have gone on, and I'm going to kind of talk about this one and the SWORD contract, just generally speaking anyhow at the moment. So a culmination of some negotiations that have gone on over the past several weeks, months in regards to the new police contract starting in 2026. So what you have before you is you have a red line copy of each contract as well as a clean copy of each contract. The clean copy would be the new version of the copy of the contract that will go into effect in 2026. So as you can see, there were a number of changes that were made. Some were housekeeping items, some were more substantive. We've had a couple of different conversations in closed session leading up to this evening about some of the changes that were being made, including the wages, those types of things. And so again, this is just a culmination coming before you. Both unions have approved their respective contracts from their perspective, and now it is coming to council for approval as well. Again, more specifics on some of the provisions, Amy and Amanda can speak to, but I do want to thank everybody who was involved in the process, both on the city side as well as the union side. I thought this went relatively well, and everybody put in some hard work to get this accomplished. So I do want to thank everybody for their part in this as well.
Okay, thank you. Amy, did you want to comment anything? Didn't want you to have to do all that work and then not get to say anything.
No, that's fine. No, I mean, just to reiterate what Rick says, I mean, everything went, I think, very smoothly. We started the negotiations with OPPA, which is our police officers, in May. And again, just wrapping up those changes, all of those marked changes that you have before you have all been agreed upon. And there's been some back and forth, but again, in the end, it's been a good process.
Thank you. Any other staff? Sabrina or Amanda, anyone? Okay. Counselors, do you have any questions about the contract? Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. So I had talked with Rick about this briefly. And I just want to get in the record. I'm being very careful because there are things that were discussed, obviously in closed session, that we won't be talking about now. But I had two things, and I don't know who wants to address them, but my first question would be, whoever wishes to respond would be, since our last closed session and since the document that we have before us this evening, were there any changes as it pertains to increase in dollars or possibly additional time off, be it vacation or personal days? That would be my first question.
There's not anything as it relates to vacation or personal days. I mean, probably some of the biggest changes we made at the end were really honing in on what is the working life of a canine. And so there could be arguably some mild financial changes as it relates to the canine agreement. Our current canine and handlers are grandfathered in, so that would only be applicable to any future handlers. It's also a better payback than our existing contract, and so it's still beneficial to the city. It's not something that's well-defined. And so we did a little bit of digging and a little bit of surveying of, what is sort of that average working life of a canine. And so we ended up, if you go to that, finding that, they have sort of value through a working life of 7 years.
Right. Okay, thank
We
you.
may get longer than 7 years, but from a monetary value.
Okay, thank you. And I think my second to last question will be directed to HR. Anything that stands out to you that, because I understand that you're the one who had hands on the document as far as, entry and everything. Was there anything that you would like to point out to us that's different?
No, I think since the last meeting with council, again, there was some clarification with the union, but that was really in terms of like holiday premium pay and overtime premium pay. So we just added just a little bit of clarifying language of what the intent was there. And then same again with the canine new language with sort of working through that. That was some more details after we had met with council. And then just we've had some conversations with the union on clarifying personal day upon separation. Again, we're holding with our past practice language on that. So again, really just minor conversations to just clarify the intent behind the language.
Okay, thank you so much. And I just want to add lastly that very much appreciate the red line copies. They help tremendously.
Okay, counselors, any other questions? Oh, Rick, go ahead.
And this conversation wouldn't be complete unless Chief wanted to say anything, because obviously, it's his department. He was very instrumental in getting this accomplished as well. So Chief, I don't know if you wanted to say something as well. Thanks.
You are welcome. Thank you. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the OPPA contract. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item E.
The Supervisory Officers Relation Division or SWORD contract. Again, the comments I made earlier apply to this one as well too. So I don't have anything different to add other than thank everybody for their hard work on this.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Stephen Knott. It's been seconded by Alder Diane Wolf. Now discussion. Are there any questions additionally from what we've covered already?
And this one, I would just add, has really nominal changes. Like there was much less, back and forth to clarify on this one. It's really kind of.
And I guess we didn't also say thank you to Mike Milkey. And maybe you should comment on your first experience going through a contract negotiation.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I guess something I enjoyed is working with everybody in that board, in the committee, but look at page, let's see, I guess this is something I'm proud of moving forward is on page 105. If we look up at the top, we're adding steps in now for years 4 and 5, basically before, for somebody to stay around, they would go through a period of maybe 4 or 5 years where they wouldn't see an increase in salary. So I think this shows a commitment by our city to the people protecting us, and I'm really proud of this being in there. But yeah, I guess overall it was a good experience for me as well. Definitely a little bit longer than I thought in some of it, but it was a good experience, and I'm proud of what we've put forth.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Any other comments or questions about the SWORD contract? Okay, again, thank you to everyone for your hard work on this. It's always nice to close these out. So the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Breathe in, breathe out.
Item 10, I'm going to turn over to Amanda to provide some basic information to start with.
Okay, I'll just read it first, maybe. Item 10. So item 10 is a discussion and possible action on the La Crosse County case number 2025 CV 389. This was the City of Onalaska versus Chandra Crouch. Deja Fitzpatrick, Blake, and Macy Sparks. Note, the Common Council may convene in closed session under Section 1985 1G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The council may reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and/or continue on with the printed agenda. So with that said, I'll turn it over to our city attorney, Amanda Jackson, for the initial information on this topic.
Yeah, so on July 1st of this summer, the city became aware of a feeder pig that was living at a duplex over in the Mayfair addition. And the pig, if you're not familiar with a feeder pig, that is about a 300 to 400 pound pig. And we had received complaints from neighboring properties that it was trespassing on neighboring properties, that there was obviously a foul odor from the feces, that it was not maybe being cared for the best. And the neighborhood was not necessarily happy that a pig had moved in. And so the city did what the city always does and asked the property owners and the tenants to correct it. They were not so inclined. They claimed it was their emotional support animal and that exempted them from city regulations, which do not allow domestic farm animals. Ultimately, after they did not correct it, the city ended up bringing a motion for a temporary injunction. Initially, we sought removal of the pig. However, after a follow-up inspection in mid-July, we found that the pig basically was continually trespassing on the neighbor's property, that there was a mud pit that had amassed that overlapped onto the neighbor's property, and that the amount of feces and other issues related to the pig had essentially grown. And so ultimately we had animal control seize the pig at the end of July. And then we had a hearing in front of Judge Doyle on August 5th related to that motion for injunction. At that hearing, the judge did order that pigs are prohibited animals in the city of Onalaska, that they are a public nuisance. She found that the removal of the pig was appropriate and that the pig was to be rehomed to a licensed agricultural premise in the state of Wisconsin, following its official quarantine from DATCAP and the testing that's required of pigs before you move them. Pigs are highly regulated, at least their movement is by the state. And so a couple other orders were issued related to that. There are still a few sort of remaining outstanding action items related to this case that I think it would be worth at least going into closed session briefly to discuss.
Okay.
I'll move to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, motion on the floor by Mike Milky, seconded by Kathy Lewandorf to go into closed session. The voting will be by roll call.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Kathy Lowendorf. Aye. Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Jim Benash,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Mike Milky.
Aye.
We are in closed session. The time is 7:47.